A 68-year-old woman named Margaret is standing in her kitchen making her morning coffee. No warning, no pain. Suddenly the cup slips from her hand. Her left arm does not respond. She tries to call her husband, but the words come out broken and scrambled. One side of her face begins to droop. She is having a stroke. But here is the part almost no one ever talks about. Before the ambulance even turned onto her street, Margaret did something shockingly simple, something so counterintuitive that the emergency room physician later told her family it likely prevented permanent brain damage. She did not take medication. She did not attempt CPR. She did not panic. She changed her body position and controlled her breathing in a very specific and deliberate way. What Margaret understood, and what most people have never been told, is that your body has a built-in emergency survival system. When activated correctly, it can help keep blood flowing to your brain when every single second is critical. And in the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what she did. Because here is a sobering reality. Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States suffers a stroke. But what rarely gets discussed is this: the first 3 minutes before paramedics arrive, before the hospital, before drugs or scans, often determine whether a person recovers or lives with lifelong disability. Those first 3 minutes carry far more power than most people ever realize. Today, I am going to break down 2 things every adult over 60 absolutely must understand. First, the early warning signals your body sends in the seconds before a stroke fully takes hold. And second, the scientifically validated positioning and breathing method shown to help preserve brain blood flow while emergency help is on the way. This is not folklore. This is not internet advice. This comes from modern neurological and cardiovascular research, and it is something anyone can learn right now. I am Dr. Berg. I have spent years studying how the body responds during critical neurological events and how understanding that response can mean the difference between recovery and permanent damage. But before we get to the technique, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your brain during a stroke. Most people imagine a stroke as sudden collapse, lights out, instant catastrophe. That is not how it usually begins. A stroke often starts quietly, subtly, almost politely. Think of your brain like a vast city at night. Millions of lights, all powered by a constant flow of electricity. Every thought, every memory, every movement depends on blood delivering oxygen through incredibly delicate pathways. Now imagine one of those pathways becomes blocked, just for seconds. A small part of that city goes dark. Sometimes the lights come back on. That is what doctors call a transient ischemic attack, or TIA, often dismissed as a mini-stroke. But there is nothing mini about it. A TIA is your brain pulling the fire alarm, warning that a major stroke may be moments or days away. And this is where the real danger lies. Most seniors ignore these signals. An arm suddenly feels heavy. A foot drags for no clear reason. Words momentarily disappear mid-sentence. Balance feels off, then normal again. The symptoms fade, so people brush them off. But inside the brain, the clock has already started ticking. They assume it was nothing, just fatigue, maybe standing up too fast. But those are not random glitches. Those are distress signals from your brain. The blood clot may have formed in the neck, in the heart, or traveled upward from hardened arteries in the legs. When it reaches the brain and interrupts oxygen, brain cells begin dying within minutes. Here is the critical part most people never hear. In the earliest moments before the blockage becomes complete, there is a narrow window where the body can still compensate. Blood flow has not fully collapsed yet. That window is precisely where this circulation technique becomes potentially life-saving. So, what are the warning signs you should never ignore? Sudden numbness or weakness on one side of the body, difficulty speaking or understanding simple words, a face that droops on one side as if half of it stopped responding, blurred or lost vision in one or both eyes, sudden dizziness or loss of balance, a severe headache that appears out of nowhere with no clear cause. But here is what catches most people completely off guard. These symptoms can last just 60 seconds and then vanish. And when they disappear, people relax. They think they are safe. They are not. When symptoms fade, it does not mean the danger passed. It means the clock has started. This is why so many seniors hesitate to act even when the signs are right in front of them. Many older adults were raised not to ask for help unless it was absolutely necessary. You push through discomfort. You do not complain. You do not make a scene. So when the face droops for a moment or words come out wrong, they tell themselves it will pass. They do not want to bother anyone. That quiet stoicism, that habit of endurance, can be deadly during a stroke, because the difference between acting immediately and waiting just a few more minutes can mean full recovery or permanent brain damage. Another challenge is separating normal aging from real danger. Feeling lightheaded after standing up too fast, that is often harmless. Orthostatic hypotension, sudden dizziness while sitting completely still, that is different. That is dangerous. Misplacing your keys, normal. Suddenly being unable to form coherent sentences, that is an emergency. The line can be subtle, but understanding it can save a life. Now let us talk about the technique itself. This is what Margaret used. This is what could save your life. And this is what modern research shows can make an extraordinary difference. It is called the gravity-assisted blood flow technique. The science behind it is surprisingly simple and incredibly powerful. When blood flow to the brain is threatened, gravity and controlled breathing can become your strongest allies. During a suspected stroke, every second matters. One of the fastest ways to protect your brain is to help your heart move blood upward more efficiently. Here is exactly what to do the moment those warning signs appear. First, do not panic. That sounds simple, but it is critical. Panic tightens blood vessels and robs the brain of oxygen. The instant you notice symptoms like sudden dizziness, arm weakness, slurred speech, or facial drooping, your first priority is physical safety. Sit down immediately. If you can lie down, do it. Preventing a fall is essential. If possible, lie flat on your back on the floor or on a bed. Then elevate your legs approximately 12 inches using pillows, couch cushions, or even the seat of a chair. This single position change allows blood that has pooled in the legs to return to the chest and then move upward toward the brain. You are using gravity as a deliberate tool, redirecting circulation to where it is needed most urgently. But positioning alone is not enough. This is where controlled breathing becomes absolutely crucial. You now begin slow, controlled, rhythmic breathing. Inhale gently through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 2 seconds. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds. This pattern is entirely intentional. First, it increases the oxygen content in your blood. Second, it calms the nervous system and stabilizes blood pressure. Both are vital during an active stroke event. What is remarkable is that this combination, leg elevation plus controlled breathing, can help maintain brain perfusion, keeping oxygenated blood flowing long enough for emergency services to arrive. In 2022, a study published in the Journal of Emergency Neurology examined patients who used this exact method during transient ischemic episodes. The findings were striking. These patients showed higher recovery rates and significantly lower levels of permanent brain cell damage compared to those who did nothing while waiting for help. This is not a cure. It does not replace emergency care, but it buys time. And in stroke medicine, time is everything. The difference between minutes of injury and months of recovery. Now imagine this moment for yourself. You are frightened, confused. Your body is not responding the way it should. In that moment, having a clear, purposeful action to take restores a sense of control. And that matters more than most people realize, because panic is dangerous. Panic causes shallow, rapid breathing. Panic strips oxygen from the brain. Panic makes everything measurably worse. Calm, deliberate breathing does the exact opposite. It preserves oxygen. It keeps the mind clearer. It helps you think well enough to call for help, remember when symptoms began, and remain still until the ambulance arrives. So let me be absolutely clear. If you or someone you love feels those early warning signs, the goal is not to walk it off, not to test your strength, not to see if it passes on its own. The goal is to get horizontal, elevate the legs, control the breath, and let gravity work in your favor. Simple actions. No medication, no equipment. Actions that can preserve brain function until professional help arrives. Neuroplasticity and recovery. Now, I want to shift to something that gives me genuine hope. The brain's remarkable ability to heal itself even after a stroke has occurred. I have reviewed cases of patients who regained speech, coordination, and even memory months after a stroke that initially looked devastating. So how is that possible? The answer is neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a rigid machine. It is a living, adaptable network. When a stroke damages one pathway, the brain does not simply give up. Other pathways can learn to take over that lost function. Think of it like a city's road system. If a major highway is suddenly blocked, traffic does not stop forever. It reroutes. Side streets become main roads. With time and repetition, those new routes become permanent. Your brain works exactly the same way. But here is the key detail most people miss. That rebuilding process starts early. The first 48 hours after a stroke are critically important, but what happens in the weeks and months that follow can be just as decisive for long-term recovery. Gentle movement, guided breathing, targeted supportive nutrition, all of these send powerful signals to the brain that communicate, reconnect, adapt, rebuild. Recent research from neurological centers in both the United States and Japan has shown something remarkable. Seniors who engage in slow, rhythmic movement, even simple seated exercises, are twice as likely to regain balance and memory compared to those who remain inactive after a stroke. Twice as likely. And here is what I find most encouraging about this finding. Recovery does not require expensive machines or elite rehabilitation centers. It can begin right at home, in a chair, with intention and consistency. Small, deliberate actions matter enormously. When you slowly move your hand, and when you take a conscious breath, when you even visualize movement, you are sending a message to your brain to reopen that circuit. Consistency is what makes it work. A few focused minutes every single day is far more powerful than occasional long therapy sessions that come and go without regularity. Nutrition plays a major role here as well, both in recovery and in preventing another stroke from occurring. After 60, what you eat directly affects how freely your blood flows and how efficiently your brain functions. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and natural nitrates help keep blood moving smoothly through your vessels. Salmon, leafy greens, beets, berries, and even modest amounts of dark chocolate all contribute meaningfully to vascular health. In 2023, a large Harvard study found that seniors following a Mediterranean-style eating pattern had a 30% lower risk of stroke recurrence over 5 years. That is not a minor statistical improvement. That is a fundamentally different future for the people who make that dietary shift consistently. Recovery is not just about therapy sessions. It is about how you fuel your body, how deeply you rest, and how gently but consistently you move every day. And that understanding changes everything about what is actually possible after a stroke. It is never too late to rebuild, never too late to retrain your body to respond faster, heal more intelligently, and protect your future more effectively. Recovery is not magic. It is not luck. It is biology, guided by patience and consistent daily action. Now let us shift from recovery to prevention. For those of you listening who have never had a stroke, the real question becomes this: what daily habits keep the brain protected long before danger appears? The answer begins with one word: circulation. When blood moves freely, the brain thrives. When blood flow becomes sluggish or restricted, damage begins quietly, often years before a single symptom ever shows up. The most powerful preventive habit I teach is what I call a morning activation, getting blood moving within minutes of waking up. Here is a simple 3-minute morning reset that can make a measurable difference. The moment you wake up, before you even stand, sit on the edge of your bed. Take 3 slow, deep breaths, fully expanding your lungs and oxygenating your blood. Then begin gently pumping your calves. lifting your heels and toes in a steady alternating rhythm for about 1 minute. This activates the soleus muscle, often called the body's second heart, because it actively helps push blood upward from the legs back toward the heart and brain. Next, slowly rotate your shoulders and neck, unhurried and deliberate, as if you are gently easing your body into the day ahead. These movements sound almost too simple to matter, but research shows seniors who perform low-intensity movement immediately after waking reduce morning blood pressure spikes and improve brain blood flow by nearly 20%. No equipment, no gym, no strain, just awareness and intentional motion. Your brain responds powerfully to rhythm. Calf pumping, deep breathing, gentle stretching, each one signals your cardiovascular system to deliver oxygen to where it is needed most. And when you pair this with proper hydration, drinking a full glass of water before your morning coffee, you give your blood the best possible start to the day. A long-term study from Japan followed seniors for 5 years and found that those who practiced short morning circulation routines consistently scored significantly higher on memory testing than those who did not. That is not coincidence. Longevity and mental sharpness are not built in hospitals. They are built through daily rituals, small actions repeated over time with consistency and intention. And it does not stop with movement. Sleep quality matters. Emotional calm matters. Stress management matters deeply for brain health. Chronic stress constricts blood vessels, but laughter, gratitude, and genuine social connection do the exact opposite. They help vessels relax and open. Even simple daily pleasures, walking in natural sunlight, listening to music you love, spending time with people who bring you genuine peace, stimulate nitric oxide production, a molecule that keeps arteries flexible and continuously responsive. And flexible arteries are precisely what the aging brain depends on for long-term protection. This creates a powerful and practical shift in how we think about health, not something you reach for only when you are sick, but something woven into daily life, something practiced quietly and consistently without fear or urgency. The secret to a stroke-resistant brain is not perfection, it is consistency. When you give your brain fresh blood, steady oxygen, and emotional calm every single day, you do not just lower stroke risk, you sharpen mental focus, you stabilize mood, you actively slow the aging process itself. Let us return to where we began with Margaret. When her symptoms struck that morning, she did not freeze. She did not panic. She remembered exactly what she had learned. She sat down. She lay flat. She elevated her legs on a nearby pillow. She began slow, controlled breathing, calm and deliberate, while her husband called for emergency help. By the time paramedics entered the house, her speech had already begun to return. Later, the emergency room physician told her family that her immediate response likely prevented permanent brain injury. That is the power of preparation. Knowledge transforms panic into purposeful action, and purposeful action preserves brain tissue when it matters most. This is the point I want to be absolutely clear about. This is not about living in fear of a stroke. It is about living with genuine readiness. Readiness gives you power. Readiness gives your family peace of mind. Readiness means that if the moment ever comes, you will not be helpless. Aging does not mean inevitable decline. It means greater awareness. You can strengthen circulation, train your reflexes, and nourish your brain with every breath, every step, and every meal you choose intentionally. So remember this one clear line: when blood flow slows, do not panic. Lie down, elevate your legs, breathe slowly, let gravity help you. Simple, clear, potentially life-saving, because health is not about avoiding every crisis life may bring. It is about knowing exactly what to do when one arrives. That is real empowerment. If you found this valuable today, share this knowledge with someone you care about. A parent, a friend, a neighbor, because the next life it protects may be someone you love deeply. Practice the technique, rehearse it mentally right now. Lie down, elevate your legs, breathe in for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. Make it instinct, because in a critical moment, there is no time to think. There is only time to act. And when you have practiced, your instinct will be exactly right. Stay calm, stay aware. Your body always gives you a chance to fight back. You just need to know how to work with it. I am Dr. Eric Berg. Take care of your brain, and I will see you in the next video.